Hey guys, glad you're here. After the first Into the Vault video was such a smash hit that netted me 2 whole subscribers, I figured I would continue delving into these deadly vaults like in my life in a desperate attempt for internet fame. Either I'll succeed, or I'll die trying, and as a millennial, I find both those options appealing. We're still going to be in the Capital Wasteland, what's left of Washington, D.C. Because I had to go through a few vaults to get all my footage from Vault 101, I just want to get the rest of this footage off my hard drive. Partly so I can preserve it on external hard drives for future generations to find when they explore my tomb, and partly so I have room to reinstall Fallout 76 if this series is going to get as big as I think it is. Maybe I'll get 3 whole subscribers this time. But you're not here for me to ramble on about this series, you're here for me to ramble on about vaults. And this is Into the Vault. I can't believe Facebook funded Vault-Tec just to get them to use the Oculus Quest in one of their experiments. To think that a company with such morals would partner with such a sinister and corrupt organization just so they could both realize their dreams? Vault-Tec is better than that! They're a subsidiary of the American government, the very face of integrity. But money talks, and Facebook really wanted their numbers back up even if it meant dooming humanity. Technically, you have the most users possible if there are no possible users left. Vault 112 was one of the last vaults to be built. I'm guessing this is because they were quickly running out of room, which is why this one was seemingly randomly placed under Smith Case's garage. I don't know how they would have done this without destroying the shop, so I'm guessing the vault was constructed first, then the shop was put over it as a facade. Why only this one got to be hidden while all the others were able to be easily stumbled across and subjected to raiders is an interesting tidbit that I'm only guessing is true. But to that, we need to talk about the Overseer, a brilliant man with a heart of black. Dr. Stanislas Braun is, or I guess will be, a German scientist who was recruited to work at Vault-Tec, because all German scientists must be contracted by and serve the US government at one point in their lives. He served as the director of Vault-Tec's Societal Preservation Program as well as the department head of Future Tech, the department that specialized in advanced weaponry and science. I guess like Tomorrowland, if the military designed it. Now Braun was a horrible man. He was not only aware, but complicit in the Vault experiments. But humanity does owe him a debt of gratitude. Braun, after being contracted by the military, developed the Garden of Eden creation kit, also known as the GECK. The GECK is basically just a suitcase that contains the essentials to restart humanity. Seeds and soil supplements, water purifiers, some other junk, and of course, the cold fusion power generator. Braun figured out cold fusion, something we have yet to be able to do in the real world, and not only was he able to mass produce it, but fit in a suitcase with a bunch of other stuff. Sure, he had roughly an extra 50 years, but a cursory look around at the technology they had available shows this should not have been something they were capable of yet. But Braun was. His reward was Vault 112. Vault 112 was built to house and care for the needs of Braun. His desire was to survive forever by hiding in his hidden vault and making himself a god. I'm thinking this is greenlit so that if humanity needed his brain in the future, they could pull him from his dream world. He accomplished this by locking himself and the rest of the residents in souped-up virtual boys called Tranquility Loungers. These pods were designed to keep the residents in stasis and monitor their medical needs while placing them in simulated environments that they can't leave. I can't believe Fallout got Sword Art Online before the real world. Although the vault could house 85 residents, it only had 10 including the Overseer. The reason for this is not stated, but I imagine most people just didn't get to the vault in time. A sadistic man like Braun would probably want as many residents, or subjects, as possible. As far as vaults go, this one is rather small. They're able to cut most standard rooms such as living quarters, bathrooms, and the diner since the residents were supposed to be indefinitely left in their pods. An infirmary exists, I assume in case a resident has some sort of medical problems their pods can't handle, although the only ones who would be able to help are robo-brains. The robo-brains exist solely to hand out uniforms, point out how late you are like some hall monitor high on their power, and do maintenance to keep the experiment going as long as possible. To that end, the vault was equipped with a shore-powered geothermal unit and backed up by an extra shore-powered geothermal unit. A sentence that means nothing to me. I guess it's powered by heat from the earth, but we'll never know because we're not allowed to see it. The robo-brains can be destroyed and will not attack back. There's gotta be more to this vault. And there is! The bulk of the time a normal person will be in here will be in the Tranquility Loungers, being subjected to Braun's games. The world is called Tranquility Lane, a black and white idyllic little all-American cul-de-sac that looks like it was ripped straight out of the Twilight Zone, the only black and white TV show I ever watched. The vault had some much more interesting sounding simulations, like a beach and ski lodge, but that probably would have taken too much time for a place players will only ever go once. Here, Braun has inflicted you with the cruelest punishment possible by making you a kid again. This means you'll have to relive puberty again. You won't be able to stop Butch from giving you wedgies this time. He also takes away access to the Pip-Boy, which gave me all kinds of anxiety. He gives you a watch, but I don't want to stare at the Vault Boy's face as he does weird stretches to tell me the time. Braun is somehow made even worse by taking on the form of a little girl. I can only imagine it's for some twisted purpose that I'm not even going to guess at. He only breaks character when he gets upset, and then he uses his real voice, which I actually prefer considering I know who is behind that avatar.
You have amused me thus far, but I still don't think you're quite in a position to be demanding anything.
Most players find themselves here on purpose to rescue Liam Neeson in a reverse Taken. However, he refused to play Braun's game and is now a dog gets punishment. Braun's world exists solely to have fun at his inhabitants' expense, and he wants you to be the one causing it. It starts off harmless enough. He just wants you to make Timmy cry, which you can do by attacking him, convincing him his parents are divorcing because of him, telling him his parents are sending him to military school with a brochure, I assume Braun designed, wrote, and coded just for the prank, or making him an orphan. Why should the lone wanderer be the only one? It quickly ramps up as Braun wants you to break up the Rockwell's marriage. You can convince Janet Rockwell her husband is cheating with a speed check or by planting lacy underwear in the basement. You can also convince her he's a crossdresser, which isn't that bad, but I guess it's worth breaking up a marriage over. And then again, this is suburban America. That's tantamount to murder. Speaking of murder, Janet's diary mentions she'd like to kill Martha Simpson because she believes her husband is cheating with her. He is not. If you go and commit a murder on Martha Simpson, then tell Roger Rockwell about it, he'll believe his wife killed her and then will leave her without contacting the authorities. Even if you weren't psycho and decided not to kill Martha, you now have to commit to the bit and kill Mabel Henderson. But because Braun is an artist at heart, it has to be a creative murder. You can make her chandelier fall on her, hack her handyman and set to murder mode, put a roller skate on the staircase, or my personal favorite, break her oven to explode and ask for a pie. I know, that sounds psychotic, but the other three methods are so bland. The oven is just... Oddly enough, using the roller skate to kill her only grants negative 50 karma, whereas every other method grants negative 100. Lastly, Braun wants you to put on a clown mask, pick up a knife, and slasher film everyone, which is an allusion to an in-universe serial killer, the Pine-Side Slasher. You can look them up on your own time. It's really boring and takes forever to track them all down because you don't have VATs. Braun thanks you for the entertainment and tells you your dad has been watching you in horror the whole time. Okay, Dad, look, their minds are getting wiped and they've been here for 200 years dying over and over. What's one more little stabby stab? And there's no alternative, so this negative karma is really undeserved. Is what I thought the first time, but there is an alternative. For whatever reason, crazy old lady Dithers isn't so crazy and actually remembers they're in a simulation. The game glosses over it, but she tells the players there's a terminal in the abandoned house that has a failsafe in it to end the simulation, and I guess kill all the residents' 200-year-old minds. I don't know why the residents aren't interested in the house. It's fully furnished, just a little dirty. I'd understand if it's like boarded up and only a child could enter, but no. Nothing to stop any average Joe from wandering in, touching the radio, pitcher, gnome, pitcher again, center block, gnome again, and then bottle in that order. I know I would if I touched them by accident and got a weird sound effect to play. The average player will have to guess their way through it, and I could feel my frustration mounting in my footage before realizing I have to touch the pitcher a second time. The savvy player might recognize the notes from the whistle Braun does and get through it that way. I guarantee less than 1% of players solved it this way. Playing the notes in the correct order causes the cloaking device on the supercomputer to fail and it appears. You can read boring logs that technically enhance the immersion but don't do much, or read the diaries about the lagoon and the ski lodge and try and find out why this man is such a psycho. He can code anything he wants, including AI, and he has like 10 people with him. Try and build an empire! Maybe the AI will become sentient after a few millennia. But no, death and torture is all he craves. So give it to him. The failsafe protocol is the nicest thing this man has ever done. If he activates it, not only does it sever all the control he has over the world, but it also kills all the residents of Tranquility Lane permanently in a very harsh way. Their real lives end, and their minds and souls are free to go wherever your beliefs dictate. The dad quotes the Bible, so you're probably Christian. Braun wants himself dead in this outcome too, but as a Vault-Tec employee, he is protected by even this. If he activated it, he would be alone forever, slowly going insane because there's no one to upload memes to Facebook anymore. He would technically have the Mr. Handy, but that's AI too. The failsafe protocol is a simulation used to train American soldiers against Chinese soldiers. The simulation summons a small number of Chinese commandos that attack everyone in the simulation except the Lone Wanderer, Braun, Liam Neeson, and the Mr. Handy, killing them all much more effectively than you could with a knife. And when they die in the simulation of this, they die in real life. Someone should write a series of light novels based on this concept. While normally not approved for civilian hardware, General Constantine Chase allowed Braun to have it, I suppose to keep him complacent since he's such an asset. I don't know what the right answer is here. With the exception of Dithers, nobody remembers what happens. They are unaware they die over and over, and their lives mostly seem happy. Braun is a cruel and sadistic sociopath, but is it right to leave him all alone until some other external factor kills him? And what gives us the right to kill the rest of them? We have Dithers' consent, even though she runs, but she's not the Lorax of the people. The game knows the right answer though. Kill them. kill them all and leave Braun to the hell he deserves until the heat death of the universe, and earn your positive karma. If it were up to me, I would put a bullet in Braun's brain to end his suffering too, but that's not allowed. After you reduce the population to 3 and a handyman, you can reduce it to 1 and a handyman by leaving with your dad. Then the two of you leave all the corpses to decompose in their loungers. The last interesting tidbit about this vault is that a computer chip was stolen from it by Dr. Pinkerton to give a synth, Harkness, memories of a new life. They also could have been used by the Institute as another source of pre-war humans if you leave them alive, but after 200 years, that skin has got to be saggy. There's not much interesting move to get here. Just the Vault 112 jumpsuit, which is mandatory as you have to put on to get in the pod, and the Overseer Room password, which is useless because there's nothing in there. The bulk of this vault is in the pods. I honestly don't know if the residents of Vault 112 had it better or worse than most vaults. I'm gonna go with better because they had moments of fun in between being tortured, but I still feel bad ending their lives. They went in thinking they'd be safe when the bombs fell, but they just went from one hell to another. That's what Vault Tech wanted though, because the vaults were never meant to save anyone. Hey guys, glad you're here. After the first Into the Vault video... Wait. This is supposed to be live action. Whoops.